Fear runs through Victoria Sugden's veins in Emmerdale soon as she becomes the next person to discover Paddy Kirk's concerns about John Sugden. Last week, John called the mental health charity that Paddy works for. He has been communicating with Paddy for a little while, but hasn't spoken to him on the phone. This time, John chose to call him, and Paddy knew this was a very big step. Outside the cottage, John spoke to who he thought was a complete stranger. As he did this, he ignored the fact he was holding Mackenzie Boyd hostage and had left drugged Aaron Dingle all alone. He revealed that he hates being compared to his brother, who was in prison for murder. The more clues John dropped, the more Paddy grew worried. As soon as John confirmed that Robert returned and kissed Aaron on their wedding day, Paddy knew who he was talking to. John ended the call before Paddy could be certain nothing bad was going to happen next. Oblivious to the horror shows unfolding in the cottage and the woods, Paddy believed that John was only at risk of putting himself in danger, not anyone else. Paddy called Liam Kavanagh for some advice. Liam told Paddy that he'd be taking a huge risk to try and investigate if the man on the phone was actually alright. If Paddy did this and the person was fine, he could potentially lose his role at the charity. It was a hunch, nothing more, but neither of them knew how close Paddy was to the truth. Paddy knew Liam was making a good point, but that didn't stop his anxieties from going away. On Friday, he headed to Vic's house but found Robert Sugden. Paddy told Robert about John, but when Robert relayed this to his sister, she didn't really listen. Paddy and the Sugden siblings had no idea that John was trying to tend to Aaron after drugging him with spiked booze. As he started to feel better though, Aaron was able to leave the bedroom to try and head out of the cottage. He banged his head on the door knocker and saw smashed glass on the floor. It was proof that the flashbacks he suffered earlier in the day were true. John ushered Aaron back inside, but he failed to make it clear to his husband that the drugs were starting to wear off. Instead, Aaron waited for John to get into the shower and then proceeded to search through his stuff. To his horror, Aaron found Mackenzie's phone. Everything he thought he heard and saw was true, and now he was in danger. Everything changes for Vic on Wednesday this coming week, as a comment from Paddy allows her to realize that Robert wasn't lying. Vic confirms to Paddy that Robert did have a conversation with her, but she didn't think much of what he said. Paddy relays the point about John saying some dark things, but reckons he is probably overthinking it a little. But Vic can see the fear in Paddy's eyes. She calls John but he doesn't answer, and then tells Paddy they need to go to the cottage together to find her brother and Aaron. Unbeknownst to them, John, Aaron and Robert have been involved in a deadly showdown a couple of days prior, which will end with John throwing himself and Aaron off a gorge. Just before he does this, John calls the police and frames Robert. Robert stares over the edge at the two lifeless bodies in a state of shock and horror. He dials 999, but John's final trick does serious damage. No one believes him when he accuses John of everything that's been happening in the village, and Charles Dingle thinks that Robert pushed Aaron into the gorge. What will the scene of the crime look like when Vic and Paddy arrive? And will anyone who's still alive after this actually find Mackenzie?